Hello and welcome to That's a Wrap. My name is Anthony Gentry, and joining me today is...
Austin Jameson, hello.
Hello.
Yeah,
How are you today?
I'm pretty good.
Good? Yeah.
I'm in that era where, obviously this is an audio podcast, so you can't see, but I'm in the era where my hair is too long, and I no longer have control over it, so now I wear a beanie. That's good though. That means it's winter.
It's cold outside.
It is cold, but it's much better than summer. Winter is the best season. Fight me.
No, you're right. You're completely right on that.
Okay.
We have a lot to talk about today.
We do.
Yeah. We got a few trailers. We have a movie to talk about, as always.
Of course.
So let's jump right into it.
Okay.
Our first trailer comes to us from Apple TV Plus. It
Gotcha.
seems like a slapping good time.
Yeah.
That is Emancipation, the Will Smith movie. Of course, that was just a reference to the Oscars.
Yes.
But this looks like a good movie. Maybe not a slapping good time.
Yeah.
But it looks pretty intense, and it looks good.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the trailer was pretty well made. What do you think?
I think it like promotes itself in a way that a movie of this nature would have to. I think it's just unfortunate that Will Smith is in it because there's really no escaping that fact anymore.
The comments were turned off on the video. Did you notice? Yeah.
And it's like that's what's going to happen from now on. I think with him, I don't think his little Oscar shenanigans will be forgotten so easily. I don't think there's a lot of Will Smith fans out there right now.
Which like it sucks because the movie looks good.
The movie looks good. Will Smith still is not a. I don't know.
I just meant and all the people who worked on the movie too.
That is rough.
Yeah, I really like the black and white look. I thought that was a cool choice to go with.
Mm-hmm. It's not even full grayscale.
No, yeah.
It's just a little less than not fully unsaturated.
It feels like a modern day black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Which like you said, you still get hints of color throughout.
Mostly the green and the foliage they like to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
Looks interesting. It's on Apple TV, so I will not be watching it.
No. Just like you haven't watched Spirited yet?
I will never watch Spirited. Spirited, I don't care.
I want to show you some of the songs because they're catchy. I like them.
You know what else is catchy?
What?
I mean, the only song from Lyle Lyle Crocodile. Yeah. That's catchy.
Well, good afternoon, Austin. And if you see Spirited, you know what that was a reference to.
I'm not watching Spirited, Anthony. I'm sorry. I'm too busy that day.
I liked it. It was cool. Go check out our That's a Right Bite on it.
You really tried there.
Yeah, I did.
That's a Rat Bites.
That's Rap Bites on. You can find it on Instagram on That's a Rap NCR.
Yeah. So that was Emancipation. I don't know when it's coming out, but
December-ish. I think the 18th. I want to say.
All right.
Our next trailer is thematically similar. It is obviously Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Of course. This movie actually looks like it has some guts to it.
They did the thing. They played the thing.
They did play the thing.
I had my jaw on the floor when that song started playing.
I think that was a good marketing decision for them.
And the Gingerbread Man was in it. I like Puss in Boots.
Yeah.
The first movie, I liked that. I was already gonna see this, but now I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna be good.
1 second, I do want to check something real quick with our audio. We'll be right back with you. And we're back. Sorry for the little delay there. We're all good. Let's go ahead and Puss in Boots.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think it's it's definitely a new niche in the industry, or at least with the animation industry, since Spider-Verse came out, where you play with the frame rate. Because it looks like they're being very specific at when they're using I think it's. Well, I don't know what they're using here, but in Spider-Verse, I think it's 14 frames a second is for all the movement.
Something around that, yeah, because films are usually 24, and they did about half.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's specifically, the movie of Spider-Verse is still in, I want to say it's 24. It's the cinematic frames, but the characters move in frames that are shorter than
it was
the actual...
to show his progression throughout the movie.
It's really interesting. But they're doing that in this, like, it looks like mostly for that kind of just, like, comic effect.
Yeah, for that to make it, not more cinematic, but, like, more, to make the action more engaging, I guess.
It's almost, it's interesting because you're taking away frames, but it makes it seem almost more animated.
Yeah. It seems energetic when you do it.
There's, like, the first, like, time I think we see it in the trailer, he like, sips a thing of coffee or something, and he gets super hyped up, and then he starts, like, moving around really quick, but in those frames where he's kind of, like, jumping around almost.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It doesn't look bad. I think they're pulling it off really well.
The movie has a completely different art style than, like, the rest of the franchise, which I think is really interesting. I wasn't a fan of it at first. Like, when we talked about that first trailer, who knows how long ago it was. But it's starting to grow on me. I think I just have to see it, like, in the film to see, like, how I like it. But it's an interesting art style.
It is interesting.
It's just very jarring from the previous movies.
Of course. Let's go ahead and talk about something that won't be interesting, in my opinion. What's our next trailer about, Anthony?
You shut your mouth, Austin.
What do you mean? Oh no, it's another man and a woman who can't. Their love is forbidden. Just tell us what the trailer is.
Didn't you love West Side Story?
Huh? Yeah, I love West Side Story that came out in 1960 something.
Last year's.
It's the same story. It's not a new story. They're remaking it.
We are talking about Pixar's Elemental.
Yeah, newest on the block Pixar movie. You've never seen this before. Get ready, guys. It's a curvy woman made of fire, a slightly buoyant waterman. When they touch, they burn or something.
It was
they
a
simmer.
meet cute.
Shut up. Everybody knows how this movie's gonna end. The only way this movie has any actual depth or like substance to it is if it isn't just a romance movie where Act 1 they meet and they're like, oh, this is like we can't be together. Blah blah blah. Act 2 is like, oh, we have a real bond. Like they make a bond for each other, but something happens and they don't like each other anymore. And then Act 3 they overcome it and they love each other anyways, even though they can't because they're water and fire. It's so.
I
interesting.
want that, but it's Pixar. So they're gonna have their own spin on it.
I don't care. No, they're not.
Yes, they will. It's Pixar.
Every Pixar movie is like they're interesting, and they're well made, but there's like they're running out of like gimmicks now. Soul is pretty good. Lightyear was
Lightyear. Yeah, I'll give you that.
And it's just like we've seen so many. Turning Red was like pretty good. I'll give you that. But still, like the Turning Red had an interesting story because it was about puberty and like young girls growing up. That was interesting. A story that nobody's really done. It's just forbidden heterosexual love, and we've seen so many movies about that already. And it's just like it's gonna be Pixar-fied.
Yeah. But they're elements.
I don't know, man. I don't have high hopes for this one.
The trailer itself, it was a little weird. It was just like a 1 minute, basically, scene from the movie. It reminded me a lot of just Zootopia, but for elements.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's a super unique story, by the way.
Yeah. It might not be the most unique. They didn't really show us a lot from it, but hey, I'll be here for it. I'll root you on Elemental.
If they have another Pixar movie where one of the male leads can be voiced by Chris Pratt, that's a problem for me. Because I feel like Chris Pratt's going to voice this guy. I don't know who's actually doing it.
No. Yeah, I can tell you who.
But if he feels like a Chris Pratt Pixar character, and she... like if this movie subverts expectations with this romance, kudos. I'll still watch it. It's Pixar. I'll still watch it. It's only fair, I guess. But if it ends up being super stereotypical, everybody already knows how the movie's going to end. Everybody knows every like beat of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't think it has a lot of potential.
I mean, like Bros, you know every beat of that movie, but I still love
Bros
that movie.
Isn't a forbidden love between.
That's fair. Okay.
Like a heterosexual.
Okay, I see what you mean. I thought you were just talking about like romance or rom-coms. This is
a Hallmark Pixar movie, and that's what it is.
It's Mamadou Athie who is playing the Wade. By the way, those names are so unoriginal.
Wade is the water?
Yeah. And do you know the
Clever. Fire? Is it like Blaze or something?
Ember.
I just rolled my eyes, guys.
The last names too: Ember Lumen and Wade Ripple.
There's like 4 synonyms for all of those names.
I will say the director of it is the director of The Good Dinosaur, which I did
no.
not particularly like.
Oh my god.
But
this is exhausting. Yeah, this movie I'm not excited for.
Yeah, that does hamper my excitement a little bit.
Yep.
Because Good Dinosaur, that was weird. That was a weird one. But
it was The Lion King.
Who knows?
This guy's great at directing films that already exist.
The Good Dinosaur was The Lion King?
It was Hamlet, right?
What?
Was it not?
It was a boy and his dog story. But the boy was a dinosaur and the dog was the boy.
I will get back to you on that because I'm pretty sure. Like I haven't seen it recently, but I'm like fairly certain. Yeah, I know the good. I know. Thank you for showing me the poster.
I was like, do you know what we're talking?
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
It's the dinosaur who dad died.
It's Hamlet,
and then he goes on cross country trip.
His
to
dad dies, and he go like the dinosaur or the kid.
I just remember the scene where they took berries and then they had like a trip.
Well,
and it was weird.
I'm furious right now, and I don't know why.
Because it's Hater Austin time.
Oh my god, Anthony! I'm gonna slam you into this table. You're ridiculous.
Our
the
next
Good
trailer
Dinosaur is Hamlet. I'm gonna look that up and prove everybody
you're
wrong.
Probably
next
right.
Week.
You're probably right.
Literally, catch me next Monday with my facts and sources.
Yeah, that comes out I think in June.
Yay.
June 16th.
Is it in theaters? Does Pixar finally get a theater release?
Yeah, they're finally getting theater release.
We'll see.
After the amazing Lightyear. Yeah, screw you, Turning Red in Soul. You don't get theater releases. Anyway, our last trailer.
Yes.
It is, this played for me before Black Panther, and I just completely forgot about it. Did it play for you?
I showed up 2 minutes before Black Panther started.
Okay, so maybe it did.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was just released to the public, this week.
Gotcha.
And that is a Willem Dafoe, thriller called Inside, about a heist gone wrong with Willem Dafoe. I think the only actor you see on screen the whole time.
In the trailer at least, yeah.
Yeah. And who breaks into this art dealer's house, goes and to steal a few things, and then he gets trapped. Is it in the one room, or is it just in the entire apartment? Yeah.
I think it's the whole apartment.
And then he starts going crazy.
Yeah.
And when this trailer started, I was kind of laughing because I was like, oh no, another Willem Dafoe goes crazy movie.
What the heck?
And then, but just because I love Willem Dafoe, but he does crazy so well, it's like a stereotype for him now.
It is.
And I was like, is this going to be funny? Him being crazy? Is he going to go goblin mode?
I don't think
but
goblin mode.
But
I don't think it's supposed to be funny.
No. I was just thinking his performance, because he can do some things sometimes that it's a little funny, but it just kept going on, and I kept I was getting scared with him, and this movie looks great. I gotta say.
I'm going to reach out to the studio because they stole my idea that I made for a recent short film of mine.
They did. We should sue them.
I will be suing. That's not true. Please don't attack me financially.
Where can you watch that movie of yours, Austin?
I think it's uploaded to Norse Film Society's YouTube page. If you Google Norse Films, or if you YouTube Norse Film Society, it should be on there.
It is. What is it called?
It's called Claustromania. I didn't expect a plug for this. I'm okay with that. Yeah. Okay. But this movie does look really interesting. Unfortunately, I was not able to get Willem Dafoe for my film. Yeah. I think that's really the only difference.
The only one. We had better actors.
Yeah. It really is
do you know the hidden Pixar connection in this?
Inside Out?
Willem Dafoe's name is Nemo, and he was in Finding Nemo.
Willem Dafoe was in Finding Nemo?
Yeah, he was the leader of the fish tank people.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, look it up.
You're joking.
No
way. He the zebra guy?
Yeah.
The zebra guy?
Yeah.
1 second. We're looking this up live. No way.
Yeah,
that
Gil.
Totally
He was Gil.
Do you have it?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
watch the
I
movie
love
again
Willem
and you'll
Dafoe.
immediately hear his
I know.
voice.
I can like I didn't. The synapse was not like
kid.
sparking before. That's insane.
Norman's on sabbatical.
Gods don't choose, we take. Oh my god. Okay. That's wonderful. That's awesome. That's great. Okay, never mind. I'm ecstatic.
Yeah.
Okay.
This this movie looks really cool. It looks
Yeah.
really interesting. It kind of came out of nowhere. And
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It releases right after my film.
yeah.
It's kind of weird.
You're like, "Oh, that's a cool concept." No, but yeah, it comes
It-
out March
The more
10th.
I think about it, it's like actually the same deal.
No, it really is.
Yeah, so that's cool. At least my thing came out
Only
first,
he
so I
went
can't
in
say.
unwillingly, and your guy went in willingly.
Fair enough. That's true. Well, yeah, no, you're right. Well, I don't want to spoil anything.
Don't spoil the movie.
My guy doesn't like. My guy, it's just that they both go in willingly. They don't know that like.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You just got to watch both films. Find out. Watch mine first, and then everybody.
Yours is the one that's already available. It's obviously going to be the better one.
Of course.
Better actors.
True. My actor.
Same with that. You only see one person on screen.
You see a couple people in mine.
Off screen.
Well, like no main characters.
Yeah. You see a glimpse of me.
True. We got Anthony is a little hidden feature in
You
there.
do. Yeah.
I didn't credit him as it because I don't like Anthony.
No.
I
don't get credited.
No, absolutely not.
But anyway.
Anyways.
Yeah, that comes out March 10th. Looks really interesting. I'm going to keep my eye on this.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
And with that, that's all our trailers.
Okay. All right,
So
we're making pretty good pace. So what's
Let's get into it. I don't think we
didn't
even mentioned
say
it.
what movie we're doing today.
This is
Oh,
the
I just remembered what movie we're doing today.
this is the hardcore Oscar drama of the year. Disenchanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Let's get into it. Austin, what did you think about it?
It wasn't that good.
No?
Okay.
What's your thoughts on the first Enchanted?
First Enchanted I loved. As a kid when it first came out, I was enchanted with this movie. Man, it was what I wanted to be. It didn't play into cliches too hard, but it was still like the stereotypical princess story, but with like obviously the twist that it's real life. It's interesting. It was cool, and as a kid, it's like this is just fun to watch. The songs were bangers. You had James Marsden in there, who's famously Donut Lord from both Sonic movies.
Yes.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, I feel the same.
Yes.
I love the first Enchanted. It's something that I always had on.
Mm-hmm.
Even after I watched Disenchanted this morning,
Nice.
I would I woke up and I was like, oh, I gotta watch that.
I think I watched it Friday or Saturday.
Okay.
I watched it Saturday.
Yeah. And I immediately put on the "That's How" or "How Does She Know"
Yeah,
song.
me too.
Yeah.
I looked it up because I was like, I want the old stuff.
Yeah.
back.
But let's go into this movie.
Yes.
So I'm guessing you didn't like it when you said it's not a good movie.
Was not a big fan,
Yeah.
unfortunately. This film is another a recent line of legacy sequels.
It's so weird to think that it's a legacy sequel. I was gonna bring that up too, but it's 15 years since the last one.
Like Incredibles 2, it's been happening forever.
Yeah.
Because you had like what is probably like a pinnacle of like modern movies that are like relevant to us, where it's like from 2000 to like 2010.
Yeah. Sky High.
Sky High doesn't, or thank God Sky High doesn't have a legacy sequel yet. I'd be terrified.
Oh, I thought you just meant like movies that influenced us as like.
Well, that's absolutely true. Sky High is one of them. Like Enchanted was one of them. Most of like the Disney princess movies were like in that like realm. In like from like 2012 on, all that Disney and like pretty much every studio that ever made a hit in like the last decade can
Let's make another one.
is make another one. You got Finding Dory. You got Incredibles 2. You got all of the live action versions of the Disney princess films.
Yes.
And the Lion King live action, which is just HD Lion King.
They had one live action shot at the very beginning of the sunrise.
It just doesn't like it works for a little bit, but then it starts to lose its substance.
Yeah.
Because, well, another one, like we have Avatar 2 coming up, The Way of the Water. I'd say, well, I don't know, I don't remember the plot of Avatar 2 heavily, but at least with that,
it's just water.
At least with that situation, or like, because there are movies that are sequels where it's like, here's a continuation of the story.
Yeah.
Or like all the what are the Murder on the Orient Express? And the Death on the Nile, like those kind of things where it's like here's a new story.
Yeah, and those are adaptations, not like legacy sequels.
Because it's not like Murder on the Orient Express was a big hit. It's like those sources already existed. But we're in such a weird era where studios are just going to keep printing and spitting out sequels to things that worked really well in the past.
Yeah.
Where it's so rare now, like nowadays, to get a new original idea.
And I will say, in the age of legacy sequels, this movie at least actually does try to like continue a story. It's like, oh, that isn't it. Whereas a lot of legacy sequels, it's, oh, let's just do it again.
Right.
And that's enough. Whereas this movie, it's like, no, let's take it to a different place and see what we can do with it. Instead of, oh, it's another fish out of water. Like, oh, she's in the suburbs now. Let's see how this works. Which, I guess if you don't know the plot, it's Giselle,
Amy Adams' character, the main
Robert, and Morgan, and their new unnamed child,
the fourth one.
Yeah, the baby.
The baby.
They all moved to the suburbs. Morgan is a teenager now, and she's a teenager. She's moody.
She's like.
Yeah. And Giselle hates suburbia, and so does Robert. And she uses a magic wand to be like, I wish that my life was like a fairy tale, and things go wrong.
That's the movie.
Yeah.
It's I think the most upsetting thing about this whole like deal is that it's just everything. Well, okay, the main problem with sequels is they're really, really hard to justify. Like 9 times out of 10 a sequel, or probably like 8 times out of 10, unless you're setting up yourself up for a trilogy or something. But most of the time, you don't really get a chance to do that. You have one shot to make it count, or your movie's scrapped and it doesn't do well, and you don't make anything huge again. Like a lot of the original Pixar's, like Toy Story is a good example, because Toy Story was like one of the first, like it was like the groundbreaker for like 3D animation.
And with every like sequel they did, people were like, we don't need it.
Right.
They were kind of right with the fourth one, which I still enjoy, but like that trilogy was just so good. And then they're like, let's make another one.
Yeah. And then you get into the concept of like, because you need those movies that stand alone. It's again, we're going back to the thing I talk about with Marvel every week now. Excuse me. Where it's like movies exist or don't exist to tell a story anymore. They exist to set up a franchise and to tell another story. And I feel like that's just a problem we're seeing. The worst like variant of that is when movies don't set up a sequel, but another one is made anyways.
Yeah, because the first one made money.
Like with this movie.
Yeah, which I don't even know why they do it, because I guess it's just to get like Disney Plus subscribers, because it's not in theaters. They're not going to make more money from this movie. But I don't know. I haven't really given my thoughts on it.
Ew,
I am super torn on this movie, because like you said, like it does work when you first go in, and like my first note, I think I was maybe halfway through. I was like seeing its faults, but then I was like, it's a worthy follow up. Like it's not great, but it's like, okay, like I see where they're going with it. I'm enjoying myself. I'm having a good time. But then as it went on, I kept thinking about every single element, and when I broke it down, none of it like really like meshed well together. Like it's a musical. The songs aren't all that memorable. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 that are like fine. There's one I really don't like, which is like a villain kind of off. Yeah. Which like the song is kind of cool, but what they do in it, like the dancing and everything,
right?
I think in my notes I said it just feels very self-indulgent.
That's fair.
And to where like, oh, we're having fun. Let's just have fun. Let's not worry about like how it transfers on camera, which is what you get with like a lot of comedies too, where like, oh, we're having fun. Let's just film that and not really care about how it looks or feels on camera, which is what it felt like in that song. But the main conflict of this movie is Giselle and Morgan, who in the first movie, man, they love each other.
Yeah.
And in this one, it's like they still kind of love each other, but she's a teenager, so she's moody. And then she's like, "You're a stepmom. You're not my actual mom." And this conflict, it just feels really forced.
Yeah.
I think because it is such a long time later, so we don't get to see any of the development between any of them. Yeah. But especially at the beginning, you see how they were still all loving towards each other. And like there's a scene where Morgan gets a bedroom, and it's like this fairy tale bedroom, and she obviously doesn't really like it, but she's still super appreciative because like Giselle put in the time and effort for it.
Right.
And then... But then later on, it's like, oh, now I hate you because the movie tells me I have to hate you in order to drive this plot.
Yeah.
That ultimately doesn't make much of anything because by the end, it feels like there's no real character development for anyone. And with that, because it's so focused on Morgan and Giselle, every other character is sidelined.
Yeah.
Whether it's Robert, who, because Giselle wishes for this fairy tale life, Robert is now like Prince Charming, trying to like... go on these adventures, like slay dragons and things like that. And in the moment, it's kind of entertaining, but when you think about it, it's like, no, like
it's just side gags.
Yeah, it's just side gags. He's not doing anything that furthers the main story.
Yeah.
Or furthers, not even the main story, it furthers his character. And the same goes with James Marsden, who is just completely sidelined. They're about to go into the main battle. He's like, "Oh, I'll stay back."
Right.
It's like, what happened? Was he busy that day?
They clearly ran out of budget to.
Yeah.
The most of their budget probably went to bringing back Idina Menzel and having her sing like 3 songs.
Her song was the memorable one that I was talking about.
It's Idina freaking Menzel.
It is, yeah. At one point she says "Let it grow," and I thought she said "Let it go."
Yeah, it's very subtle.
But yeah, it's kind of disappointing once you all look at it. And in the trailer, they like show how because it's a fairy tale now, Giselle is a stepmother, so she has to be a wicked stepmother.
Right.
And because she's so like possessed by that, she doesn't have a full-on character arc at the end, which even if she did have an arc where like she learns a lesson, that lesson, like I said, is forced because the conflict feels forced.
Yeah. I think that's ultimately the problem with these type of legacy sequels. Like, you can do a sequel, and sometimes like you can make it well. Like Toy Story 3 is pretty notorious. Cars 2 is. I don't know why I keep going to Pixar film. Like we have a new Knives Out coming out, which is interesting for the most part. If Rian Johnson's like good at what he does when it's on Star Wars, but I think when you have an original movie, like 15 years ago now, it was super duper solid, and it wraps up the movie, like it ties this like bow at the end of the story, and then 15 years later, like I don't know if there was the same writers on this movie as the original one or what.
No, I looked it up. None of them are the same.
Okay. Everybody has kind of lost touch with what the characters are. And it like you have to create riffs that interrupt the story and the like happiness of the last film.
Yeah.
And so when you play, especially with the trope of happily ever after, and you're like, well, this story's not ever after yet, and it's like, okay, but now you have to introduce so many artificial elements into this story, and just ruin the pacing. You ruin the like image of the characters, and you deepen things that you really didn't have to, and it's for greed. Disenchanted I don't think would exist if Disney didn't need Disenchanted to exist, and they needed it to span a couple more months for their Disney Plus subscribers. It's frustrating.
And like even on your point of not every movie needs a sequel, especially like original movies, like even something like Knives Out, it has a beginning, middle, and end, but still leaves room for a sequel.
Right.
With Benoit Blanc, he's still a detective. He's still going to be solving crimes.
Right.
So there's always that. But when it ends, it's like, it's clear cut. We don't need something. Same with Enchanted. Like, it's clear cut. We don't need anything. But it doesn't leave any room for a sequel. And, like, the idea is interesting. Be like, oh, no, they're in the real life now. Like, just like in the first one, a real life isn't a fairy tale.
Right.
And so let's keep going and see, like, well, where are they now? It's an interesting idea, especially with them moving to suburbia, because that is a different place for all of them. And see how, Giselle fits in, and even Robert and Morgan. But, I don't know, the way they do it, I wanted more of them being in suburbia and dealing with it rather than this fairy tale plot, because that would have seemed more genuine to the original.
Well, I'll say this movie is a very, very slow burn. The like inciting incident of this movie is like Giselle wishing for a fairy tale life,
which is like 40 minutes in.
It's 30 minutes
30,
in.
yeah.
If you're making a movie, your inciting incident should not take 1/4 of the film to get to. It should happen almost immediately.
When this movie was done, I like went on my phone and like opened it up and just like ran my finger across the movie to see like how is this movie not only like has done like so little with so much time, because it's also 2 hours.
Yeah,
it's 2 hours, but it's like, did I miss something?
Right.
But no, you're right. It is like a slow burn because of that. I feel like we are being super negative on this movie. I didn't hate it.
I don't have really any good things to say about it.
I do think Amy Adams brings
James Marsden is really good.
James Marsden is good.
Amy Adams does like do a really good performance.
I in my notes, she does a really good job doing a dual role in this between like her and the evil stepmother and like fighting against that. I said gave me Moon Knight vibes.
Amy Adams is good.
Going back and forth. Like,
but Oscar Isaac was really, really, really good with Moon Knight.
Oh no, yeah, I just meant like how they were doing it with like just immediately switching.
Right.
But
Moon Knight vibes, but Moon Knight takes the trophy.
For sure.
This.
But Amy Adams, she brings it.
I want to rewatch all those scenes again now.
I love Amy Adams. She always brings it. I thought most of the jokes were like serviceable. They were fine. None of them like. I had a few chuckles.
This was no Weird Al the Yankovic story.
No.
Or the Al Yankovic story.
The Yankovic story. Yeah, I had a few chuckles. I said most of the jokes like land, but they're not hilarious. Like none of them make you laugh out loud. They're like, "Oh, okay, that's cute."
I didn't find this movie funny. I think it's just my taste.
Maya Rudolph I also liked. Even though she didn't really have much to do.
I really didn't. I thought, like...
I think I liked it because it was Maya Rudolph.
I like Maya Rudolph a lot. Or the main performance I recognize her from is, like, The Good Place.
Yeah.
And this just, like, it felt so...
You haven't seen Grown Ups?
No.
How dare you?
I'm sorry. I'm happy. But... I don't know. I felt like it was really I think it was direction of how they wanted her to play the character, because they wanted her to play this like evil queen-esque whatever.
But she seemed like a all right person. Like
I don't know about that.
I think at the beginning when she was like, "Hey, like welcome to our town" and everything, and then she gets a little kind of meanish.
She was pretty rude through everything. I think during that whole like interaction.
I guess
she was supposed to be set up as a condescending like.
I sent you
mom.
a text as I was watching this, and I said, "Have you seen Bad Moms?"
Right.
Because that also does like the trope of not even a trope. They do the exact same thing Disenchanted does, where it's a new mom goes to a neighborhood, meets a trio of moms at a bake sale, where there's the leader and her 2 like minions, and the leader is like super mean, but then at the end she reveals herself to be like sympathetic, basically. And so I guess I was going in with that, and I'm like, oh no, she's just misunderstood, because they were doing the exact same thing Bad Moms was doing, like almost to a T at first.
For my unfortunate people and audience listeners out there who've seen Glee, trigger warning: Emma Pillsbury is in this film.
Is.
I believe I don't know how to pronounce her first name. It's Jayma, maybe. It's Jayma. Apologies if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But Jayma Mays is
Come on the show, correct us.
Yes, I would die if I ever got to meet one of the Glee cast. Oh my God, my heart just stopped. I would never meet Ryan Murphy. That's where I draw the line. Brad,
what about Will Schuster?
That's like a bucket list item for me.
Yeah. Have you seen him as the Grinch?
Yes. Yes, I have. Okay, that's enough Glee talk for today. I'm already overwhelmed. But yeah, with the mom's thing, I think it was like very cut and dry. There's not a lot of room for interpretation in this film. It's very much like, here's the thing that's happening, and here's how it's going to affect the story.
Yeah, I was thinking that during one scene during the villain off, because it's like, I don't want Giselle to win because then she'll be consumed by evil, but I also don't want Maya Rudolph's character to win. So I feel like I'm just watching the scene play out rather than being engaged. Mm-hmm. Whereas I even said in my notes, I felt, even though I wasn't having the best of times, I did feel engaged in the movie. And then later on when I was thinking back, I was thinking, am I engaged because of the movie and because of like the direction and everything? Or am I engaged because of my love for these characters rolling over from the first one? Like, especially when Giselle was turning evil, like, I was engaged. I was like, no, Giselle, don't turn evil. And then I was like, I don't know if it's because of like the movie's doing its job or if it's because of the first one.
I don't know. I think this movie didn't have a good grasp on the like world it needed to develop. And it like, at the end of the day, I think the problem is that it didn't need to develop a story, and so it's adding all these new elements that just kind of fall flat.
Especially at the end, it feels like it all just falls apart at the end.
It was weak and just kind of upsetting. Like you said earlier, or one second, let me go into my notes real quick.
The Minion.
Huh? The Minions? Oh my! We don't talk about the Minions here.
There's one point where Amy Adams says, there can't be two villains in this town except for minions." And I texted also, I was like, wait a minute, I thought she was talking about the Despicable Me Minions at first. I'm like, why are they making a dig at Universal? I was like,
I don't know. I'm down for.
They meant actual fight. Like villain minions, like.
Like the actual meaning of the word and not the little yellow tic-tacs.
But then they kept saying minions again and again throughout the movie, and I just kept thinking about that. And
That's
I was like,
unfortunate.
That would make this movie better. Just put in minions.
My first note is angsty teen forced to move, legacy sequel time.
Yeah.
It's just like everything in this movie is so cliche. You can predict how we're gonna do spoiler section later, but you know how this movie's gonna end.
We can do a spoiler section.
Why not?
Because I don't even know what there is to say.
Well, like that's very true.
How did you feel about the animation in the not the Arendelle, and not Anastasia. What's the land called? Andalasia.
Andalasia. There you go. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. It was weird. It was like it felt like they hired somebody to imitate old Disney animation.
Yeah. It felt like mid-budget. Like it was kind of there, especially on like some characters' faces, like James Marsden. Like there were like a bunch of lines for like wrinkles and stuff. But then when you look at other stuff, it's like, ooh.
It felt like a bunch of caricatures, like from like a theme park. And I don't know, it felt weird. I've seen like YouTubers or YouTube music videos, specifically like Ninja Sex Party, has a lot of animated music videos. One of them specifically like parodies the princess like fantasy world animation type, and I think that's super duper solid. This felt like something just fell off, because if they were like, well, it's tough because they already have their style from the first movie that they have to copy. They can't just like try something new. Because I feel like in the first movie, they, like, defined it. Like, I don't remember. I haven't seen it recently, but I felt like it was pretty good.
Oh, yeah, it is good.
In this movie, it feels like they were trying to imitate that again, but they, like, just couldn't get totally there. It was almost like, what's the word when you see like a human face, but it's not a human face?
Uncanny Valley.
Uncanny Valley, but for like Disney animation, where it's like something's off here.
Yeah. Alan Tudyk is a Skrull. He was cool.
That was Alan Tudyk.
That was Alan
I
Tudyk.
hated that. That was so annoying. I can't believe that's Alan Tudyk.
Yeah. I was like, oh, Alan Tudyk in another Disney movie. Let's go.
What a wonderful mixture. Alan Tudyk's great and everything. I did not like him in this. Yeah. That voice was annoying. Whenever he had to sing like that too.
He had a weird accent.
I was not a fan of it.
Yeah.
Not his fault, but just awkward for like, I don't know. It didn't feel like a squirrel's voice or a chipmunk, I guess. I don't know.
No, the Skrull.
The Skrull? He was the Skrull.
Yeah.
I thought you said the squirrel, and I was like,
no,
I'm pretty sure it's a chipmunk.
The piece of paper. No, I was like, hey,
of course he was the piece of paper. Okay, now that checks out. Sorry to whoever did the squirrel or the chipmunk. I didn't like that very much.
Yeah, because it was recasted. The squirrel was recasted. I looked it up.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it is a chipmunk. I'm gonna start saying
It's a
chipmunk now.
Yeah.
Okay. And what they got? Who was it from to who? Do you know? Or is it like?
So in the first one, it was two different voices.
Mhm.
It was one voice for the animated sequences and another voice for the in real life when he just squeaks.
Mm-hmm.
But it was this like it was Johnny Bravo.
Really?
That's who voiced the chipmunk.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Who is it in this one?
He's like an actual voice actor.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. It was someone else. Ooh, dead air. Griffin Newman. I have no idea who that is. He yeah.
Oh, okay. He
He's
looks like
just
a vigilante
guy.
from Peacemaker.
He does.
Okay. On my second note is first song not so great. Give me James Marsden. I don't know what this was in context.
In my notes,
to.
I miss James Marsden.
Yeah, I was like, I want him
because he was. Not only is he such a good actor, but in the first one, he was so good.
Yeah.
And then they just sideline him so much in this.
It sucks.
To where he's like, "Oh, I'll meet you there. Like,
Yeah, I'll come
I'll
in
stay
later.
back. I'll protect this place that doesn't really need protecting.
Yeah, well,
like, how are you gonna protect it when we saw you? You were just hanging around."
When there's a chance to explain themselves, this movie often opts to not do that.
Yeah.
Kind of unfortunate. I don't know what this was in context to, but I have in quotes, I've heard about them but never seen them before. I think it was just a cliche line that somebody said, and I was like, I rolled my eyes and wrote it down.
Yeah.
I
said, even though it's a longer running time, I feel like we got less.
Yeah,
because
that's absolutely true.
Like with Maya Rudolph, like I feel like we barely got any of her before her. She took like the full turn into a villain.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the first one, I forget her name, but the actor Susan Sarandon, she was in it from like the first minute, like and probably not the first minute, but like she was in it like the entire way through.
Right.
Whereas in this, it's like they were just jumping around to so many things. It felt like we didn't get much of anything.
Mm-hmm. They didn't stick to. They were just trying to like throw in plot lines that would be like satisfactory for what we'd like, what audiences today like, or because like the whole plot is another like since like Encanto, and what's another example recently? I don't know. But like just generational trauma, and that like
Turning Red.
Turning Red, thank you. That kind of like fantasy of parents apologizing for like treating their kid wrong, and in this one we have a whole song dedicated to saying you're not a true Andalasian child, but this one is. And it's like
I was like, dang.
It's like how subtle can you really get? It was annoying because it like and. Do you want to do spoilers right now so we can just talk about it?
Yeah. What would you rate this?
I'd rate this. I gave it a 1.5 on Letterboxd.
Okay.
I would give this like a. Or do you want me to look up? Or do you should look up the scores? I think.
Yeah, I know the score. I just looked it up.
Gotcha.
I would give it. I think it's fine. It's not great, but
it's fine.
It's not
I think it's a
horrible
little less
either.
than fine.
Like I don't know. I had like a good enough time watching it, but then when I looked back, I was like, man, this actually isn't that good, especially with the ending.
Yeah.
Like I said, they're doing so many messages all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Where like, oh, the power of love, and be careful what you wish for, and I love you, my daughter, who I always loved, and you knew that I loved
Right.
you. We just had one fight, and
Yeah, actually though,
literally. So I don't know. Maybe like a 50, just right down the middle.
I'd probably give it like a 45. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
I'm around that range. It's not fresh, is what I'm gonna guess for the critics. No, I will. They'll love it.
Yeah.
They'll give it like a 66.
66. I wouldn't say that's loving it.
No, I'd change.
I'd
my
say that's
mind.
barely passing it.
Yeah, 66 critics, audience like 62, 60, 60.
60.
Yes,
Okay.
66, 60.
Lock them in.
Yes.
Okay.
Lock.
Austin.
Yeah.
For critics,
Uh-huh.
you said 66%
Mm-hmm.
on Rotten Tomatoes with 68 reviews. Not a lot.
Sheesh.
Not a lot.
Okay.
It is a 40%.
Okay. All right. I should have stuck with my gut.
Critics' consensus
Uh-huh.
is, although Amy Adams remains just as engaging as ever, which is true, I would agree with that, Disenchanted lacks the magic that made its predecessor a modern fairy tale classic, which it does.
Yeah. I super agree with that.
The audience score,
Mm-hmm.
you said 60%. With over... Oh, do you want to change that?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm fine. I'll take the
Okay.
L.
Okay. With over 100 ratings.
Wow.
The audience score is 60%. You got that right on the
Really?
money. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so good at my job. Oh, I'm so good at it. Okay.
No consensus.
That's another.
But-
let me just add that to the tally board in here. All right.
I thought people would love it even more because it's like more Enchanted, but less because it's not,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like Enchanted because the first one was so good and
Right.
Giselle actually goes through a character arc.
I felt good. I felt good. Okay. I'm happy.
Yeah. It was also so jarring to see how much they aged in 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they had the kid from the first one cameo.
Yeah, cameo.
But they recasted.
I
Even
think
though it's,
because like for her to still be in high school, it'd have to be, I don't know, like 10 years later, maybe 8 years. I don't know how old she was in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And then 15 years, they're like, you know what? We're not going to pull Dear Evan Hansen. That's
Yeah. Okay. Well, next week.
next week. We are
Yes.
reviewing my most anticipated movie of this year.
Mm-hmm.
I am so excited for it. The Fablemans.
Yeah.
Pretty
good.
I meant to ask you this beforehand.
Uh-huh.
I'll ask you this on
On
on the
air?
recording. Yeah. Do you want to do a double review of The Fablemans and Strange World? Or
Oh, does Strange World come out already?
it's coming out next week too. We have it for the week after because we had Knives Out too, but we're not doing that anymore.
Right.
So do you want to keep it just The Fablemans? Or change it?
We'll see.
We'll see.
If I
Yeah.
have time to watch them, I'm down. But
I feel like we should because it's Thanksgiving weekend.
right.
But by the way, guys, happy if you live in the U.S. because we have
Yeah.
listeners all over the world. It's kind of cool.
It is really kind of interesting.
Yeah, thank you for listening. If
Thank
you
you,
are,
everybody.
but yeah, if you're in the U.S., happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Don't get sick. Stay healthy.
Yes, please do.
Be smart. But I think we're ready for let's say spoilers and keep talking like we have been.
That's spoilers.
If you've gotten this far and you care about spoilers still, thank you all very much for watching.
yes,
We'll check you out. We'll
see
be
you
back
next week.
week.
Yeah,
But
you can follow us at That's a Wrap NCR on Instagram.
absolutely what he said. Let's go ahead. Spoilers.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
What are we gonna spoil?
And that's a
I
good
really
point.
Don't
Well,
know.
the main it's mostly just all the cliches. Like the first thing they set up when they introduced the wand is like only a true Andalasian can use this wand.
Yeah.
And then it's like
they're like, not you.
yeah, it's like look, here's it. It's for the baby, the true Andalasian
Yeah.
child. The baby is the true one.
Yeah, when they kept saying that, I was like, why are you setting up Morgan for failure?
Yeah, I really like the part when they both spit in Morgan's face and call her an idiot.
I do like the joke at the end though. That James Marsden like gives the plate, and he's
Yeah.
like, wait, it can only do food, right?
Yes.
Can we make sure of that?
That is silly. That was a pretty good joke, but that was because James Marsden delivered it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, a true Andalasian can only use the wand. Guess who uses it at the end? It's Morgan.
Because-
Shocker,
yeah.
dude.
Or true son or daughter of Andalasia.
Yes. 1 second. Let me Quick, alienate the kid with a song is one of my notes. Very cliche. Popular prom king immediately talks to embarrassing, stupid new girl. That's another cliche.
Also, I know like you're going through your notes, but
you're
it's
good.
just
What's
I
up?
hate the trope
Uh-huh.
of in a movie when there's something happening like imminently and you need to act, but they're like, no, let's take this moment.
Oh my god.
Like, oh my, the clock is about to
I think I remember
strike,
about that.
and
No, I don't.
they're like,
I do have a note.
and like I was just like, just make the stupid wish, just make the wish. But like Amy Adams, like, no, I have to give you a monologue
She
right
sings.
now. Yeah, she sings. Yeah, she sings.
I said I'm glad we have time for a song.
And then this is after Maya Rudolph makes the spell that is going to
like
stop Robert immediately, and he's like, "Oh no, I got time. Sing your song."
I would have loved because it's supposed to be this super dramatic, oh look at it's a mother-daughter
moment.
Andalasia's
dying.
Yeah, everybody's dying.
Yeah,
and
Giselle's dying.
I would have loved a jump cut to Robert actually about to lose his arm or something. It's insane. It's insane. The timing and pacing is so weird. Eye rolls 24/7 is another one of my notes. Her ripping the paper. Because one of the moments is Morgan's like, oh, the memory tree I made as a kid, it'll bring all her memories back. It's like the magic of memories. It's like, okay, Disneyland.
Speaking of magic of memories, visit Disneyland.
She throws it, or she gives it to Amy Adams, and Amy Adams is already full evil's or wicked stepmom, and she's like, and we won't be needing this, and rips it, and she throws it up in the air, and then it works anyways.
Yeah,
it just starts magicking, because that would have been way more impressive.
I was so confused at that point.
If they were gonna lean into cliches, they should have already they should have done the thing where it's like, oh, the obvious solution doesn't work, and so Morgan herself has to reach or Giselle. I was gonna say Gazelle. Morgan has to reach and give her the memories. Yeah. She can't rely on the memory tree. That would have been more sweet.
You know how Disney Plus always makes unnecessary TV shows?
Yes.
Especially about random characters that was in one Marvel project, and they're like, oh, let's give them a show.
Baby Groot.
I want them to do this, but
with the paper.
With the paper. No, but with James Marsden.
Yeah.
And I want a show with James Marsden and Idina Menzel living their life. I don't want it animated. I want live action.
Okay. I want it animated.
No, animated would be really cool, but I want to see James Marsden do the things. You know?
It just sounds like you want to watch stuff with James Marsden in it.
Well, yeah. But him as that character, because when I watched that scene from the first one with How Does She Know?
Yeah.
And it ends with James Marsden hearing Giselle, and he jumps down
and hits the bikes. Yeah.
That joke was better than anything.
Yeah. This movie was not enchanting.
He's been dreaming of a true love's kiss.
He has been. Make the main character a bad guy? ? Really? ? I'm gonna go get some air back by midnight is one of the things. The evil queen, her son is the prom king, believe it or not. And they're at the ball or whatever, and he's like, I'm gonna go catch some air to his mom, and the mom's like, be back by midnight. He's going to catch some air. He's not going somewhere else. He's not driving away. What do you mean be back by midnight? It's he's catching some air. Who says that?
Seems like you really don't like this.
Who
Are you gonna lower your score?
Yeah, 30, I guess. I don't care. It's stupid.
A 2. One higher than the monster.
Be back by no. No, this movie was better than A King's Daughter, so I won't do it that dirty. Inciting incident takes 30 minutes to
Will
get
this
in.
be on your top 10 worst of the year?
Probably.
Yeah, okay.
Probably just because I don't watch that many films. I need to watch more.
We've watched a lot of movies this year.
We have. This is our first full year of... Is that right?
Yeah.
First full year of That's a Wrap. Yeah, so I'm satisfied. Not with this movie, but with this episode.
I am too.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No.
Okay. Next week we have...
Go watch Enchanted.
Yeah, watch the first one.
Yeah.
You don't need to waste your time with the second one.
You'll be disenchanted if you watch Disenchanted.
Very subtle titling. That was actually what they were going for all along.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you all very much for listening. Next week we should. I think I'm not gonna raise my expectations aren't super high for it. It's Steven Spielberg, so I think it'll be.
I'm sorry, my expectations are through the roof. I cannot lower them.
Well, I sure hope that this movie isn't
Or not
bad.
expectations, my excitement.
But yeah, join us next week, Monday at 2.
And follow us at
That's a Wrap
NCR on Instagram.
But until next time.
That's a wrap.